I'm sorry, everyone. We're starting so late today. Well, it's really, you went to sleep late, etc. I have all sorts of excuses. Empty excuses here. Let's make this a little louder. Okay. All right, my friends, let's begin by giving charity. Let's begin the day by giving charity. Here we go. Charity saves from death. Charity brings the redemption. By now, we're continuing what we learned yesterday. If you remember what we learned yesterday, the previous 4 days of this week, we learned about the shofar and the prayers of Rosh Hashanah, but this is leading up to the shofar, which will be sounded when Mashiach comes. That's what it says in Isaiah, that there's going to be a great shofar sounded, and it will bring all of the pushed away Jews, the lost Jews, then the pushed away Jews, in the Ashur and the Mitzrayim, and it'll bring them all to the holy city, to Jerusalem. That's what it says. What is this big shofar? What do you have to have a shofar for at all? So they already explained to us up to now that the whole purpose of the shofar is to wake up the Jewish souls and to wake up the essence of God, which eventually reveals itself to be the same thing. Excuse me. To be the same thing. Essence of the Jewish soul is connected to the essence of God. And this is like the essence of a person's personality, which is above understanding, above logic. Sometimes people, you can see in the world, sometimes people have love for money. They have love for certain pleasures, whatever. Oh, here it is. It just touches on the essence of their soul. Well, that's not the true essence. The true essence of everyone's soul in the world is the Creator. And that's the Jewish people. The Jewish people are connected to the Creator. And just like the Creator, the whole essence of the Creator is, he doesn't think about himself. He's creating the whole world. So the same thing is the Jewish people, ideally not supposed to think about themselves. How can they do this? Is to find their true self. And the true self is the essence connected to the essence of the Creator, Shalom. So we said yesterday that that's the sound of the shofar, the straight blast of the shofar is a cry out from the essence of the soul, above logic, above speech, above anything that we can possibly conceive of, to the essence of the Creator, which is the same thing, above understanding, above logic, above words, just to cry out to God. And then after that comes another sound, a shvorim. It's just an extension of this cry out to God, that your heart is broken, and it's broken even more, and finally the last blast that we sound, when you sound the shofar, there's a straight blast in the beginning, straight blast in the end, and something in the middle. So you go, so the first one is our call from below to above, and the second one is God, so to speak, answering from above to below. That's what we said. Why specifically in a shofar? We skipped. I'm going to skip a little bit so we can go over this. I'm skipping a little bit. I'll show you what I'm skipping, just so you know what we're skipping. That we are skipping. Here we go. All of this stuff is real. This is really juicy over here. What we're learning over here, juicy made with a capital Jew. Jewcy, juicy. Anyway, it is really just tasting what we're saying over here. But I want to get to the main point. So it says the main thing of it, we sound the physical shofar. Why? Why do we sound the physical shofar? Maybe we'll skip the whole thing. Here we go. We sound the physical shofar on Rosh Hashanah. Why? 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 Because the upper will of God, the revelation of the upper will of God from above, it has to be drawn down in the physical world. Like we say, write us in the book for a good life. Write us for good. The main thing of Judaism is this physical world. This physical world is very good. That's what it says in the Bible. And the job of man was supposed to reveal this. What did I do over here? What did I press over there? There we go. Oh. They said the job of man is supposed to be revealing it. That's the whole thing of man. Therefore, on the Rosh Hashanah, which is the anniversary of the birthday of man, first man. Happy birthday to everyone. This is the day that the first man was born. Grandpa, great grandpa 5,786 years. In a few days, it's going to be 86 years ago. The Mazonos of Gashman that we're praying that the physical world should be fixed up. That's why in the whole Bible, 5 books of Moses doesn't talk about heaven and hell, because there is heaven and hell, but it's not important. The main thing that's important is this world, this physical world. Therefore, the whole idea is that we should have a good word called mata mata to be physical. In the physical world, we should have good food, we should have good crops, we should have good money, we should have health, we should have this in order to serve the Creator. But the main thing is that it should be in the physical world. In Judaism, the main thing is the physical. Why? Here we see there's the Holy Temple. It's such a big deal in the Holy Temple. The first temple was destroyed. The second temple was destroyed. Third temple. What do we care if there was a temple or not? What do we care if there was a temple? All the other religions get along very fine, right? Without a temple, right? I'm sure Catholicism would get along just great if they would decide to disassemble the Vatican, right? They would take over the Vatican would all crumble and fall. Catholicism it has no connection to one to the other. The Pope would move somewhere else, right? The same thing that the Muslims, they took away Mecca, they would still be Muslims. It's such a big deal. They have to go there. They made up a special thing. They want it to be similar to Jerusalem, so they made up a thing that has to be. In any case, all these religions are fighting over Jerusalem. they all say that Jerusalem is the main place, right? But what do they care, right? We don't say Jerusalem is the main place, but the Mecca is number 2. There's no number 2. There's no number. Judaism is the best religion in the world. And the second best, there's no second best. There's no such thing as second best, right? There's only one God. There's only one Torah. There's only one Judaism. There's only one world, right? There's this physical world. There's the heavens. That's part of the creation. And the way to fix up this world is according to the only one way. That's by the Torah and by the Jews doing it. But the main thing is the physical world. So therefore, we want to reveal God's mercy in the physical world. The whole idea of mercy is drawn down in Rosh Hashanah in order to sweeten up all the severities and the difficulties in this physical world, namely that it should be drawn into this physical world, like we said before. Because a person can say, okay, I'll suffer in this world, but I'll go to heaven. That's the main thing, which is it's true. It says the person suffers in this world, you go to heaven, but that's not the goal. The goal is not to suffer in this world to go to heaven. The goal is there shouldn't be any suffering in this world. The main thing on Rosh Hashanah is on physical bodies. If a person will live, if a person will die. Namely, the soul in the body. The soul never dies. The whole thing of Rosh Hashanah and the Jewish people is the soul in the physical body, this physical body, to make this world the way God intended it. Do what man intended, which is not the case. The judgment in the world, this is for souls. After a person dies, then he gets judged. But here in this world, we want to have just pure, that's the laws of tshuva. That's what we're talking about, tshuva. So therefore, that's the whole thing of Tzorech. There has to be a physical shofar. It has to sound a physical horn, doot, doot, right? Horn, supposed to be, we're attaching ourselves. The God is above the spiritual. God creates the spiritual. What do? We blow this horn. That's what we do. That's Judaism. That's religion. That's normal. It says no, because the whole essence of Judaism is to make godliness revealed in the world. Davka b'shofar gashmi, with a physical shofar. Shel kevis of a sheep or a goat or a ram. Okay, yotze. Sheyesh bo rachamim. These animals are sheep, ram, and they have mercy. It's a sign of mercy. These are not that he call it the carnivorous animals. They're not carnivorous is the word. They don't attack others. Sheep. Generally speaking, the kosher animals in Judaism are animals that do not attack. They're not. It's cows and sheep, right? Those are the only 2 animals that are kosher. And there's a story, interesting story with birds. That there was the Shiloh, Reb Yeshaya Horowitz. He lived like about 300 years ago, something like that. Maybe about 400 years ago. Anyway, he once saw a turkey attack another turkey, and so he decided that therefore it's not kosher. And all the people with the name Horowitz or Gorevich, they don't eat. A lot of them, they don't eat turkey because they passed it down. Right anyway, we'll talk about that later if you want to. But the mercy, that's the whole thing of mercy. So the horn has to come from mercy. And it has to come from a sheep. That's what God decided. It can't come from a cow. This because a sheep especially arouses mercy. This arouses God's mercy above. like we said before, it's drawn down and becomes physical, actual, but until we actually get a physical results, physical blessings in this physical world. So if all those people that say that the Jews want to conquer the world, I mean, they're right. They are certainly right. We want to conquer the world, that everyone in the world, not that we want to rule over the world, everybody's going to be our servants, everybody's going to be this, right? Everyone will have their own rulers, but everyone will live according to the Creator's plan. Everyone will reveal all the good potential which the Creator has put into everyone in the world uniquely. Everyone will contribute something positive to the world. That's what the Creator is, a creator. Which almost all the other religions in the world, they devaluate this physical world. This physical world is only temporary. We're going to get out of here soon. We're going to go to heaven. It's a good thing you die. Nothing better than dying. You die for our cause. Best thing in the world is to die. By Judaism, the worst thing is to die. The worst thing is to die. To give your life, if there's no other choice, and if there's no other choice, and that you give your life for the sake of Judaism is good. But to die is not a good thing. But everyone agrees that God dying is not a good thing. Only if there's no other choice. There's no, like Abraham taking, that's why the whole thing of Abraham taking his son to kill him is the Akedah, and that's what we read on Rosh Hashanah, is so such the essence of Judaism, because it's the opposite of Judaism. It's the opposite of Judaism. God told Abraham to do something which is the opposite of what the God of Israel is supposed to do. God of Israel cares about this world, cares about life. And God said to Abraham, take your son and kill him. And Abraham said, if that's what you want, then that's what I'll do. It's exactly the opposite of everything that God stands for. But Abraham said, that's according to what I understand. That's according to logic. You're right. But if God says to do it, it must be good. Thank God he doesn't tell us to do it. we wouldn't, I don't think that we would find anybody like Abraham. Abraham didn't ask any questions. In the end, it came out okay. I mean, he didn't kill his son because of his self-sacrifice. So we have implanted in us the same self-sacrifice. And we're willing to give not our lives or our children to God, but our will to God, to do what God says in order to make this world a good place. That's the idea, the whole flow of life in this world, the blessing of the life. And that's bechinas, the animal soul. This is also made by sounding the shofar, arousing God's mercy with the horn of a sheep, which this is an animal and it's physical and it's low in the world. That's the whole idea of physical, drawing down the essence of God into the physical world, even higher than the angels, higher than everything. That is what we do on Rosh Hashanah. But there's something higher. That is all this is. All this is the shofar of Rosh Hashanah. That by means of this, we say that God sounds in the shofar. That's the sentence we brought from Zechariah, was it? We had before. In the future, it says, on that day, Yatakar b'shofar gadol, there will be sounded a big shofar. And it doesn't even say who's going to sound it. There will be sounded a big shofar. Let's get this in the center over here. In the future, it says that in that day there will be sounded a big shofar. What is this big shofar? How can it be from a higher place? We just finished saying that the call of the Jewish people, to God, it arouses the essence of God above everything, above the creation, above the essence of the essence. How can there be a higher level than that? How could there possibly be higher? Well, you're going to see. Here it goes. 1 minute. Let me just have a look over here. It was in Zechariah, right? Yes. Oh. 1 minute. Here we go. Yeah, all right. It was a sentence in Zechariah. All right, good. How can it be any higher than that? Oh, so that's exactly the point. It's going to come from something which is totally incomprehensible. Feel that to write about it is nobody even writes about it. This is this level of which is going to be written, get revealed when Moshiach comes. It'll be something that's so incredibly good. Here we go. Ready? It's like this. Kavar Nisbar, we already explained that the shofar we sound now of Rosh Hashanah, which is to draw down life, this is the aspect of God which fills all the worlds, which that's the idea of making God a king. Like we said before, Omer Lofanai Malchut, to make God a king. And also to fill all of the blemishes, we said. We sound the shofar now, it fixes up all the sins. Shenasu, which were made in the name of God. It fixes up the sins in the name of God. Now, from now on, we have to fix it. We have to do good, right? But it fixes up the spiritual blemishes that were there. And this fixes up the whole entire, what's called Seder Ishtalshlut, the whole order of creation, which that's also comes from how God fills the world. That's how the Bible begins. God spoke, he created the world. And God is creating the world constantly. That's the level of God's name called Yud Kei Vav Yud, and then Hey Vav Hey. Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bin, etc. And this is, where do we draw this down from? How do we improve the world, the whole entire world, from something that's above the world, from this level of Soviv Kalman? Which, what is the Soviv? How God surrounds all the worlds? This is God's upper will. God's desire that he wants there to be a world. Mamalik Kalman, how God fills the world, that's how the world is, exactly all the little details, how many blades of grass, how many atoms, right? Where this race of people live, and where this race of people live, and where the Italians live in Italy, where's Italy, where's an Italian, where's this? Those are all details. What's going to be a tree, what's going to be a cow, what's going to be a horse, right? How each and every horse, each and every cow, each and every tree, that's how God enlivens everything. That's Mamalik Kalman, all the differences, all the different planets, all the different spiritual levels, all the different angels. That's all Mamalik Kalman, how God fills the world. How do we make a renewal? By appealing to God's will, which is, we said, is Soviv, how God surrounds the world. This is God's upper will. And by means of this fills up everything that was lacking in the previous year. That's the idea of the shofar, we said. Good? Can't be any better than that, right? Says the Rebbe, wrong. Im calls them, nevertheless, it is only called a shofar that we sound now, is only called a regular shofar. It's not called a big shofar. What's a big shofar? Also, this aspect of God, which is called Soviv Kol Omin, that surrounds all the worlds, even though that it is a level which cannot be found and grasped in any sort of comprehension, even by the angels. All the angels are screaming out because they know they're being created and they can't figure out how they're being created. And they realize that they're being created from a source that's higher than even the creator. That if there's a creator, so that the creator has also a personality, if you want to call it. There's a reason for the creation, of which only the creator knows. That's what's called Soviv Kalmi. That's how God surrounds the world. That's the aspect of God. We said, I am God and I never change, like we said before. But nevertheless, because it is a level which surrounds the worlds and encompasses all existence, therefore it somehow or other has an attachment to the world. Like, for instance, the heavens and the earth. The heavens, they surround the earth, so to speak. The spiritual surrounds the physical. It encompasses, but it's attached to it somehow or and everything. The heavens surround the earth, and it surrounds everything, the earth, constantly. Even though that even though the heavens, physical heavens, are very, very high. Heavens on the heavens. And there's also these spiritual levels. The spiritual levels are tremendously high, tremendously distant, so to speak, from our comprehension. They're higher and higher, but nevertheless, they're somehow or other connected to the world. This whole world is like a gargir chaldel, like taking one little mustard seed and comparing it to the whole entire cosmos, right? The whole physical universe. Take one little mustard seed. There's no comparison. One little atom. Compare one atom. Oh, there's a good example. Compare one atom to the whole universe. But nevertheless, there is a comparison. The universe, somehow or other, is made from atoms. Right? The same thing, the spiritual worlds, the physical worlds, they're made, all of them are made from the word of God. So let's say one little word of God creates a pebble, and the world of Atzilut is infinitely greater than any comprehension. But nevertheless, it's in Kol Zeh, Yesh Lam Eze Erech. They still have some sort of a comparison one to the other. They're all creations. Ad Shemuchrach Shagam Shemayim, that the heavens also have a limit. We have to say the heavens have limits. All the scientists, all the astronomers, all the physicists, they say that the heavens can't be eternal, just can't go out eternally. It doesn't make any sense. They have to be based on something, right? They have to be based on something. So they have all these different theories about how the end of the world is. Maybe there'll be the end of time. Maybe the who knows what the theories are, right? There was a thing of it's always expanding. The world is always, the universe is always expanding, so you can never get to the end, but there must be an end. Why? Because because the heavens surround the earth, but nevertheless the heavens are infinitely higher than the earth. Similarly, it's also the same thing we're talking about Soviv Cholmim and Malik Cholmim, how God surrounds the world and fills the world. Even though that this aspect of Soviv Cholmim, that God surrounds the world, and it is above all of the spiritual worlds. But nevertheless, and even though it's called Ein Sof, there is no end to it. Now we're talking spiritual, regarding the ray of godliness, which creates all of the worlds to be Mamali Kolmim, the aspect of God which fills the worlds, which that makes a difference between the world, the aspect of Atzilut and Bria, even though these are infinitely greater, each world is infinitely greater and more infinite than the one below it. I don't know if we can give this an example, but let's take an example. Let's say, compare in mathematics, right? Take infinity and compare it to the number one. So how many number ones can go into infinity? That's ridiculous. Infinity is infinitely greater than, right? But nevertheless, both of them are in the category of mathematics. So even though infinity is not really a usable mathematical term, I'm no mathematician, as you'll see. If you are, then you'll see that I'm not. But it's not you can't really utilize infinity. Infinity plus 5, infinity to the 5 to the squared, what is infinity? What's the square root of infinity? And it doesn't make any sense. But nevertheless, it still is a mathematical term. It's not a psychological term. It's not a geographical term, right? It's not a musical term, right? It's only in mathematics. So it's true, it's infinite, and it's infinitely greater than any of the other terms that come from it, right? All the other numbers, whatever it is. But nevertheless, it's still, I'm trying to give an example, and maybe I'm not succeeding very much. But what the Rebbe is trying to say is that the whole entire universe, with all the creation in it, all the spiritual levels, they all come from God. And this aspect of God is called how God surrounds the worlds. But nevertheless, this is an aspect of God that is relevant to the worlds. So therefore, even though the Soviv Kolomim is called infinite regarding to the aspects of God, the word of God that creates all these worlds, and not like the physical world. Now, again, let's not get too flaky over here, right? We're talking about aspects of God. We're talking about the essence of God, but don't think that this means that God is some sort of a being. He's just like a really big being. He's a really infinite being. He's a really big. God is not a being. God is not an existence, so to speak, in any way that we can comprehend. God, anything that we can comprehend, that's created by God. Anything the angels can comprehend is created by God. God is infinitely above the whole idea of existence as we know it, and even as the angels know it. He is the source of all existence. Says the Rebbe that God is the source of all existence, that's called Soviv Kolmim, and that's not really God's essence. That's really not God's essence. He calls that, nevertheless, because it's called Soviv Kolmim, this called aspect of God, which is above all the worlds, and it's called infinite. Nevertheless, it is somehow or other connected to the world. But God's essence is separated totally from even any concept of world, even from the level of being Soviv or Makif, above the worlds, etc. Make any sense? I hope not. I hope not. Because it doesn't, the whole essence of what the Rebbe is saying, that it can't make sense. This can't make sense. But, let's not get too, how do you say, the amorphous. Here, we exist. The physical world exists. The spiritual worlds exist. God wants them to exist. Now we're talking about, but what is this God that wants them to exist? What is God? What is God? And so that's what the Rebbe is saying. There's a lot of aspects of God. God does a lot of things. One thing he does, he creates every little atom, every pebble. He cares about every atom, every pebble. He cares about every bug, especially about people, especially about the Jews. He cares. And not only that, we have an effect on God, on God's essence. When we sound the shofar, says the Rebbe, that's what we learned up to now. Said the Rebbe, okay, I mean, that's true, but that's not really God's essence. I called it God's essence before. I called it the God surrounds the world, but it's not really God's essence. If you look back, you'll see I never said it was God's essence. It was this aspect of God's essence, which is above how God relates to the world in any way or form. This will be revealed in the future. Now, in this place where is God's essence, that's where the Jews are. That's where the Jews are. For some reason, of course, this whole thing it's not comprehensible. It's much easier. Just say, listen, let's just forget about all this business. There's no God, and there's just a world. And let's forget about all this stuff. How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? We're not talking about that. Here we're talking about even all the angels in the world, and everything is exactly the same thing as the head of a pin to the Creator. And that, where everything is equal according to the Creator, that's only an aspect of the Creator. But the essence of the Creator, that's where it comes down, this thing of the God reacts. That's where it comes the idea that's why we say the God of Israel is not like any of the other gods that everybody believes in. They all believe that God is high up, which is true. But we say that God is infinitely higher than that. And God, on the other hand, comes down to this physical world. And we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen that. This will be revealed in the future after all the work that we did, because God wanted all this work. It is written, Hallelujah, Karov Gudlo. We have to praise God in his greatness. What does it mean? There's a lot of types of greatness of God, of infinity, each above the other. Ad ein case without any end. Therefore, we say Karov Gudlo, like we say, like the many types of greatness. Karov Gudlo, like many greatnesses, many infinities of God. We don't say God, the greatness of God. We say many types of greatness. Masha'ata now, which we call now, Soviv or Makif, how God surrounds the worlds, this will be revealed in the future in a way of panimi. It'll be low. That also means it says, it says, on that day. This is like it says before, we'll see that the level of God, which is far away now, is as concealed. So we've called him. We'll see, like we said, Hu Asanu, that God makes us totally incomprehensible what God is now. Right? God is now what we call Soviv Kolim. He surrounds all the worlds. He's above any connection to time, space. He creates everything that there is from nothing. That's now totally incomprehensible. But in the future, will be Zet. It will be this. God won't be this Soviv Kolim that we're praying that God should reveal, should fix up the world. We're sounding the shofar. When we sound the shofar, that arouses God's Soviv Kolim, what's called God's essential will, essential this, says that's not really God's essential will. That in the future will be Zet. It'll be something revealed. This thing that we're praying, this aspect of God we're praying to now, that'll be like common day-to-day stuff. Everybody will be clearly aware and live with the fact of God's love, of God's being. Everyone will feel. It'll be Zeh, it'll be this. It'll be revealed, b'chinas nochach, like, how do you say, face to face, like it was on Mount Sinai. It says the Jews were face to face with God. But we see what happened on Mount Sinai, etc. It was not permanent. It was impermanent. And also now when we sound the shofar, this revelation, little bit that we get of godliness, it's very impermanent. It's not permanent, not lasting. And some of this way above our comprehension. God creates the spiritual worlds. What does this mean? But in the future, we'll see clearly. As then in the future, then there'll be this level of Soviv Kolmim, which will be revealed. Then will be revealed Soviv Kolmim from a higher level. What's going to push this level of Soviv Kolmim, so to speak, what we've been up to now been calling God's essence, will, what's going to push this down into the world so that it'll be revealed in the physical world, this is going to come from a higher level, even a higher level than that. 1 minute. Here we go. As I then, it says, Yitaka b'shofar gadol. That's going to be this big shofar of God. What does it mean? Just like the shofar of Rosh Hashanah now is drawing down from what's called Soviv Kolmim into Mamali Kolmim. We draw down, so to speak, from what we thought was God's essence into the whole entire creation to improve the creation, to make the creation healthy, gives like giving a shot. Okay, and also in the future, but in the future, the days of the Moshiach, then there is going to be completed what God originally wanted from man, why he created the world in the first place. Then they'll be drawn down from a level which is much, much higher of godliness, a level of truth. Then the level of, then just God surrounds the worlds. Then also the shofar will be drawing down from this level, which is so tremendously essence of God. And that's called the shofar gadol. That's called the big shofar. And that's where the Jews are connected. That's where the Jews are connected. The Jews are connected to this essence of God. Because behold, the commandments will not be stopped in the future. There will be the commandments. It says in the Gemara, it says that they will. Okay, anyway. Only, but that's just the commandments in the future won't be like they are now. In the future, we won't sound the shofar and to arouse what we said the prayer in the prayers of Musa, to arouse God's kingship and God's remembrance, like we just finished learning, and afterwards shofar. In the future, we will do the commandments, but then it'll only be just to arouse the shofar alone. Because this aspect of God's being far away and God being a king, this will be automatic. It'll already be here. The reason, because like we said before, now we have to arouse God's, what's called mamali, we have to arouse God's kingship in order to make God says, make me rule over you. And this fills all the blemishes, like we said before, like requesting forgiveness from God. So God forgives us. He says, okay, forget about all of your bad things that you did. Or remember who you are in your essence. And he forgives. That's now. But which is not the case in the future. Shemash Akshav, that which is now called Soviv Kolmim, which God surrounds all the worlds, even the spiritual worlds, will be drawn down in a revealed way constantly. Everyone will see and feel that God is creating them for a purpose. Everyone. So you won't have to make God a king. And you won't have to make God remember. The world won't be far. Only what we will need in the future is only shofar. Why? Because the shofar is a revelation of God's innerness. But it'll be called shofar gadol. It'll be called a big shofar. Every time that we sound the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, it'll be called the big shofar. Why? Even though really that every shofar is a revelation of God's essence, even now, and we say about the shofar, Ashri Ha'am Yodea Trua, happy are the people who know the sound of the shofar of God. In the light of your face, they will go. It's a sentence in Psalms. We say this right, what is it? After sounding the shofar. No, is it right before sounding the shofar? No, I'm sorry. After sounding the shofar, we say it. Because even is written, or panecha, the light of your face. Now, when we sound the shofar, we evoke, we arouse what's called the inside of God. This level of soviv kolmim. And this will be revealed. Nikra panim, your inside. This is the inside of godliness, the in essence of godliness, how he cares about every detail. That's the level of soviv kolmim. But now it's revealed only temporarily. And it's revealed from a lower source of soviv. This is called the regular shofar. But the shofar that's going to be in the future, this is going to draw from the Raiva, the Kol Raivim, the will of all wills. This is the level of God's inner will. This is the source of all the other wills of God. This is above the essence of God. Now, this obviously is working right now because God is creating the world every instant, and God is creating time. So obviously this exists now, and we're totally unaware of it. There's no possible way we can be aware of this truth of what God really is. No way aware. when the Jews sound the shofar on Rosh Hashanah, we get a little glimpse of it. Now, I'm sorry, but in the future will be revealed the will of all wills, the source of even Soviv Kolmim. Shulamayla, this is above the will of God, which is revealed now. Namely, this is above even Soviv Kolmim. That's what's going to reveal. That's why it's called a big shofar, because it's higher than anything. Big means whatever level you can think of, it's bigger than that. Soviv Kolmim, it's bigger than that. It's big. It's just called a big shofar. That's all. It's big. And it doesn't even say who's going to sound it. It doesn't say that God will sound the shofar. This is the essence of godliness, will show that he cares about the world, but it cares about what we do in the world. But it's totally unconnected to the whole thing that God creates the world, and he created the world, makes them. Why did he do it? What did he do? What made him decide to do it? Right? He took an advice from somebody. So it says he took advice from the Jewish souls. God, what does it mean that he saw? Because God, by God, past, present, and future is one. So God saw the result of the sacrifices and the self-sacrifices of the Jewish people and the patience of the Jewish people, that they waited so long for God to fulfill his promises that he gave to Abraham. We've been waiting already for 4,000 years since Abraham, that the Jews are going to get the land of Israel, and the Jews are all going to come back to God, and the Jews are going to be the fathers of all mankind. We've been waiting patiently, and that's what God saw. As a result of that, that's going to arouse the essence of God. That's what it says in the future. Barachamim gadolim, with great mercy I will gather you together. That comes from this great shofar, which draws great mercy, etc. The Rebbe once said that the 6-Day War was something like this big shofar. All of a sudden, Jews all over the world got aroused. And also there was a bare minimum of the enemy were killed. A bare minimum. We destroyed their jets on the ground before they even had a chance to take off. So we didn't have to bomb the cities. We didn't have to bomb this. Right? Tremendous mercy was revealed. It says even more than that will be revealed in the future. We say in the Aleinu prayer every day that all the evil people in the world will turn to you, God. What's going to cause a person to do that? They'll see the essence of God. And that's what's going to be revealed with the big shofar. Shehu, this is an aspect of God which cannot be grasped in any letter or even a hint at all whatsoever. This is the essence. That's the big shofar. Therefore, it does not say who's sounding it, how big it is. It's just coming to show that it will be the essence of God will be revealed through the shofar, like through our shofar now. But now it only reveals it temporarily, and only a very little bit in a sort of a wispy spiritual way, fixes up the whole world. In the future, the world is going to be a perfect, beautiful world with everyone exactly like God intended when he created man. That's the purpose of the shofar we sound now, and that will be the result of the big shofar that the Moshiach will sound, that will be sounded in the days of the Moshiach in the future. It will be, so to speak, an echo of the screaming out of the hearts of all of the Jews that we want Mashiach now. Now let's learn the, oh no, you know what, I have it. We're going to learn the Devar Malchut. Here we go. Very good. Whatever.